2023 feels like a gloomy year for the film industry. How come? Many major events occurred this year, ranging from cases experienced by actors which hampered film production, to labor strikes in Hollywood, which forced films and series to stop production for a while. Apart from that, there are also many films in 2023 that will suffer losses because they failed to shine at the box office. Even though most of these films are large-scale films. What are the biggest money-losing films in 2023? Check out the following. Number 10. Dungeons & Dragons: Honor Among Thieves. Even though Dungeons & Dragons: Honor Among Thieves received positive reviews, that wasn't enough to save the film from the brink of failure at the box office. The film only earned a total of $200 million from a production budget of more than $150 million. What you have to remember is that this does not include the promotional costs for the film, which are also very large. This film should be able to attract more viewers, but perhaps because it is too niche, it is only seen by those who play the board game. Even though the audience doesn't have to play the board game to understand this film. The big names involved in this film also failed to make the film successful. The film stars several names such as Chris Pine, Michelle Rodriguez, and Sophia Lillis.
He also plays the lute.
Dungeons & Dragons: Honor Among Thieves is adapted from the legendary game Dungeons & Dragons. It is not known for certain whether a sequel to the film will be made or not. But seeing as the film was not a success, there is a possibility that the film will not get a sequel. Number 9. 65. 65 failed to attract attention even though it starred Adam Driver. The film, which was released in March 2023, only made $60 million, even though the film had a budget of $45 million and that doesn't include promotional costs for the film, which were around $20 to $30 million. Even though it had an interesting and unique premise, and brought a big name to the star, it wasn't enough to make 65 shine at the box office.
Just say something.
Oh, yeah. It absolutely would have. Adam, look, I can't...
65 was directed by Scott Beck and Brian Woods, both of whom were also responsible for writing the film's script. Apart from Adam Driver, 65 also stars Ariana Greenblatt, Chloe Coleman, and Nika King. The film is set 65 million years ago before humans existed on Earth. We are presented with the story of an airplane pilot named Mills who came from the planet Samaris, whose civilization was already sophisticated at that time. In the middle of his mission on a space trip to deliver passengers, Mills' plane hit an asteroid, causing him to fall to Earth, which at that time was still dominated by ancient animals, including dinosaurs. Number 8. Renfield. Renfield was directed by Chris McKay, with a script by Robert Kirkman and Ryan Ridley. In this film, Nicolas Cage competes with several other actors such as Nicholas Hoult, Awkwafina, and Shohreh Aghdashloo. This film focuses on Dracula's henchman Renfield, played by Nicholas Hoult.
Of a toxic relationship.
Renfield felt bored of being Dracula's subordinate and he tried to get out of Dracula's shadow. Interestingly, the image of Renfield will be very different in this film, considering that originally Renfield was very loyal to Dracula, but its powerful strength only appears after consuming spiders or other insects. The character played by Awkwafina will later become Renfield's lover. This film is officially rated R-rated, which means there will be lots of scenes of violence and blood splatter throughout the film. This film only grossed $26 million, with a production budget of $65 million.
Okay, obviously we're dealing with a little bit more than just...
That's it.
Number 7. Haunted Mansion. Haunted Mansion cost Disney $150 million. Even though he was initially very confident about this film, it turned out that Haunted Mansion failed miserably at the box office. Even though the film features top stars such as Rosario Dawson, Owen Wilson, and Danny DeVito, there are factors that make this film fail to shine. The biggest factor is that the star actors cannot be involved in promoting their films, because some time ago, they were unable to promote their films because there was still a labor strike taking place in Hollywood. The film also has a normal story and all the ghosts are made using CGI.
But there's always room for one.
Even though Haunted Mansion, 2023, is a reboot of the film of the same name made by Eddie Murphy in 2003. Disney itself is currently developing another film inspired by an amusement park ride called Tower of Terror.
What a top hat. Top hat. Wow. You just did that just now?
Number 6. Ruby Gilman, Teenage Kraken. Ruby Gilman, Teenage Kraken is a film made by DreamWorks. Unfortunately, although almost all DreamWorks films end in success, not this film. The film did receive quite positive reviews, with a score on Rotten Tomatoes reaching 66% from critics, while general audiences gave it a score of 81%. Even so, this film failed miserably at the box office.
Where's the fun in that?
The film failed for a variety of reasons, including poor marketing, and DreamWorks' overall poor performance in recent years. This film tells the story of the main character, Ruby Gilman, a teenager who turns out to be a descendant of the Kraken. All she wants in this world is to mingle and go to prom with her friends, but her mother, Agatha, forbids it. But one day, when Rory was about to save his sweetheart, Connor, who would have thought that Rory diving into sea water would actually awaken something that had been stored in Ruby's body? Even though it has an interesting plot, it is not enough to make this film shine. The film had a budget of $70 million, while grossing only $45 million.
What?
You know, I think I like the first one better.
Number 5. The Machine. The Machine is a comedy film starring Mark Hamill. Unfortunately, the film received very poor reviews, with it only having a score on Rotten Tomatoes of 32%, despite an audience score of 87%. The Machine was only made on a very small budget, namely $20 million. But the film was only able to gross $10 million.
It's definitely a prank. Clearly that's a fake gun.
Even though it suffered big losses at the box office, the losses this film received were not as big as the other films on this list. The Machine is directed by Peter Atencio. Apart from starring Mark Hamill, the film also stars Bert Kreischer, Jessica Bohr, and many more. This film, which was released on May 26, 2023, tells the story of the character played by Bert Kreischer. At one point, his character and his father were victims of kidnapping by people who held a grudge and had blamed Bert about 20 years ago, when they were drunk at a party in Russia. No one thought that this incident would still be remembered.
23 years.
Number 4. Indiana Jones, Dial of Destiny. Indiana Jones, Dial of Destiny aka Indiana Jones 5 tells the story of Indiana Jones who tries to find an ancient artifact called the Dial of Destiny, which is believed to be able to create great power. The Dial of Destiny itself is located in a hidden temple in the South American wilderness. Later, Indiana Jones and his team must embark on a dangerous journey across difficult terrain and face various obstacles, including wild animals and other treasure hunters. Apart from starring Harrison Ford, this film also features several other actors such as Mads Mikkelsen, Phoebe Waller-Bridge, Antonio Banderas, and many more. Even though it was Harrison Ford's last film as Indiana Jones, it was not enough to make this film shine in Hollywood. Indiana Jones, Dial of Destiny was only able to gross $384 million at the box office. Number 3. Shazam! Fury of the Gods. Many superhero films will experience big losses in 2023, and one film that will also experience losses is Shazam! Fury of the Gods. This film was only able to gross a total of $134 million, with a production budget that reached a maximum of $260 million. Of course, this figure is very far from the first film, which managed to gross $367 million. Interestingly, Shazam! Fury of the Gods is the first film released under the leadership of James Gunn and Peter Safran, who are currently overhauling the DCU, but it should be noted that the pre-production process for this film had already been completed when James Gunn and Peter Safran joined forces. Which means that the new leadership of James Gunn and Peter Safran did not have much influence on this film. In this second film, Shazam and his brothers face a much more dangerous threat than before. They were no longer dealing with humans with demonic powers like Sivana, but the goddesses of Olympus whose strength we no longer need to doubt. Number 2. The Flash. There is no doubt that The Flash will be one of the most loss-making films in 2023. This film, directed by Andy Muschietti and starring Ezra Miller, actually has a promising premise, where the main character, The Flash, tries to go back to the past so that he ends up destroying the existing timeline.
Love you, Mom. I love you too.
The film features a number of top Hollywood stars, but that's not enough to lift this film from a loss. The reason is that this film was only able to earn $267 million in revenue during the 31 days it was shown in cinemas, even though the film The Flash had a budget of $220 million to make, and that doesn't include the promotional costs, which are also quite large. In other words, one of the last two films is the most detrimental show for Warner Brothers and DC Studios. There are many factors that are thought to have triggered The Flash's box office failure. The first is the controversy over Ezra Miller, who was involved in a legal case. Apart from that, delays in the release schedule and production problems have put the making of this film in limbo.
So how was it this week? How's school?
School was... This is mad trippy.
Dude, this is catastrophic.
Number 1. The Marvels. The Marvels also predicted long ago that this film would experience significant losses. How come? For a film like the MCU, The Marvels was only able to gross $198 million at the box office, even though the budget for making this film reached $274 million, and that does not include promotional costs for the film, which would also be very expensive.
She could turn light into physical.
Forbes also reported that The Marvels' budget of more than $274 million makes it one of the most expensive MCU films to date. The high cost is most likely due to the use of a lot of CGI in the film. Forbes also reported that Disney received a $55 million subsidy from the British government during the making of the film, bringing total spending on The Marvels to around $220 million. Pre-sale ticket sales for The Marvels also decreased by 69% compared to Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 and 72% compared to Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania. So from that number alone, we can already see signs that this film will fail at the box office. The Marvels returns with Brie Larson, who plays Carol Danvers.
I can't. Can you? I got it.
Those are some films in 2023 that will experience big losses. The films fail to shine at the box office, resulting in fewer audiences than expected. Among these films, which is your favorite? That's enough for this video. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to this channel to help us to more enthusiastic about presenting other top 10 videos. Thank you for watching, and see you in the next video.